In early July 2020, thousands of residents of the landlocked province of Guizhou in the southwest of China heard a mysterious sound that caused many of them to flee their homes. The strange sound lasted for more than 10 days, and despite people using drones to find out the source and experts investigating possible causes, no explanation was found, with the authorities merely instructing the people not to panic and to go back to their normal lives. Reports of strange sounds elsewhere in China have recently been made by US diplomats and seem to have a much more sinister origin. Recordings of the eerie sounds from the mountainous area of Weining County, Guizhou Province, have been posted on Twitter and YouTube. Some of the recordings have been compared to the sound of a dragon growling or a tiger's roar. Other recordings sound like a horn or whistle blowing, which some believe may be connected to the local landscape, which is characterised by underground drainage systems with sinkholes and caves. Some Twitter users remarked that it could be the sound of fault lines beneath the village, causing fears that an earthquake could be imminent. Others considered it could be a wild animal trapped inside a cave, as similar noises had been heard elsewhere in China. The Guizhou Seismological Bureau investigated the noises and stated that, after preliminary investigation, no obvious geological activities have been found in the vicinity of the unknown sound source, and no obvious precursors to the earthquake. Adding to the locals' panic are the earthquakes up to 4.5 magnitude which have been felt in the area recently at the same time as heavy rainfall, causing alarm at the possibility of landslides and a conceivable overflow downstream at the massive Three Gorges Dam. In a seemingly desperate search for an explanation, local authorities told residents that the initial sound which ignited all the wild rumours of dragons and monsters in underground caves probably came from a bird called the yellow-legged button quail. However, in some videos of the sound published online, it is indeed the case that the impressively loud, deep call of this bird is present, but has been combined with an added slowed-down tiger's roar, which has managed to convince some that the sound is much more frightening than it really is. But this is not the first time strange sounds have been reported from China. In May 2018, a US government employee in southern China reported abnormal sensations of sound and pressure, recalling similar experiences among American diplomats in Cuba who later became ill. The US State Department, in an emailed notice to American citizens living in China, stated that it wasn't currently known what caused the mysterious symptoms in the city of Guangzhou, a major commercial hub of 14 million people on the Pearl River, about 75 miles north of Hong Kong, where an American consulate is located. The department said that a US government employee in China recently reported subtle and vague but abnormal sensations of sound and pressure. The US government is taking these reports seriously and has informed its official staff in China of this event. The email didn't further identify the person with the symptoms or mention when they had been detected. Speaking in Washington to the House Foreign Affairs Committee, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the medical indications of the incident in Guangzhou are very similar and entirely consistent with the medical indications of the Americans working in Havana. He added that medical teams were being sent to Guangzhou, and we are working to figure out what took place both in Havana and Guangzhou. In 2018, China's Foreign Ministry said that it had found no clues to determine what caused US government employees to suffer brain traumas after experiencing unusual sounds. China has conducted a very careful investigation and has given preliminary findings to the US, and we haven't found the reason or clues that led to the situation mentioned by the US, Foreign Ministry spokesman Lu Kang said. There are roughly 170 American diplomats or employees in Guangzhou, as well as their family members. At least 26 of these claimed to have suffered unexplained brain trauma after being attacked by a mysterious weapon. In early June 2018, the State Department evacuated 2 Americans who worked at the American consulate in the city of Guangzhou from China in the wake of the scare. Apparently for months, US officials were worried that their diplomats had been subjected to targeted attacks involving unusual sounds, leading to symptoms comparable to those following concussion or minor traumatic brain injury, according to the State Department. Although China or Russia have been blamed for the attacks, it is still unclear whether the illnesses are the result of attacks at all. Other theories put forward have included toxins, bugging devices that accidentally emitted harmful sounds, or even mass hysteria. Indeed, the theory that the effects are produced as an unintentional side effects of either surveillance or anti-surveillance devices that are either being deployed against or by the US has recently gained ground. It is certainly relevant that both the Havana Embassy and the Guangzhou embassies seem to have had recent renovations, when perhaps badly designed anti-eavesdropping devices developed by subcontractors were haphazardly installed into the buildings without proper testing. In November 2018, the mother of a US diplomat in China who became ill after these alleged sonic attacks spoke to the press in the hope of raising awareness about the potential danger facing American diplomats and other workers around the world. Her daughter, Catherine Werner, had woken up in the middle of the night, feeling a sound in her head and intense pressure on both of her temples. At the same time, she heard a low, oscillating humming sound. Air Force veteran Laura Hughes claimed that her daughter was dealing with the effects of traumatic brain injury after experiencing these mysterious sounds and sensations at her apartment in Guangzhou. Catherine Werner herself said, "I'm not really doing too well. My balance is so impacted that I need certain aids to help me. Now I use a balance vest and a cane. It's something I'm struggling with because I'm only 32. I went from managing a team of very smart, driven individuals and working on really critical trade policies and promotion issues to not being able to recall very basic words, not being able to process very simple tasks and problems. My whole life has really been derailed." Werner is one of only 2 US workers in either Cuba or China whose identity is publicly known. None of the Cuba patients have come forward, and they have not been named by the US State Department. The other is US diplomat Mark Lindsay, who together with his wife heard strange noises in their apartment in 2017, which later developed into symptoms consistent with concussion. "The short-term memory loss was the worst," he said. "I couldn't remember the names of software tools and codes that I needed to do my job." State Department doctors eventually ordered the family to move back to the US, where Lindsay was diagnosed with mild traumatic brain injury. Lindsay believes that he was targeted because of his work, using top-secret equipment to analyse electronic threats to diplomatic missions. Lindsay stated that, "There is no shadow of a doubt in my mind that this was a directed attack against my neighbour and I." His neighbour was none other than Catherine Werner, who lived 1 floor up. In the case of the unexplained sounds in Cuba, the US reported that some of its personnel and family members experienced an array of illnesses, usually after hearing an unusual sound. Like those in China, the injuries in Cuba followed after disturbing sensations of sounds and vibrations, variously described by the victims as the noises made by cicadas, static, moving metal sheets, and even marbles rolling around a metal funnel. Most of these incidents occurred around May 2017. Apparently the symptoms, sounds and sensations varied dramatically from person to person. Some of those affected suffered permanent hearing loss or concussions, while others experienced nausea, headaches and ear ringing. Some even struggled with concentration or common word recall. Some of the victims felt vibrations or heard loud sounds, mysteriously audible in only certain parts of rooms, whilst others heard nothing. The incidents are still unexplained, with investigators chasing theories including a sonic attack, some kind of electromagnetic weapon, or a defective spying device. However, not only did the Cubans deny any wrongdoing, they took the unprecedented step of inviting the FBI to Cuba to conduct a joint investigation with Cuban police. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the invitation was refused. In October of 2019, a new Canadian study on what has become known as Havana Syndrome was published. The study pointed to overexposure to pesticides, probably caused by fumigation, as being the likely cause for the neurological symptoms among Canadian diplomats residing in Havana, Cuba in 2016, rather than some kind of acoustic attacks. But if fumigation is the source of the alleged effect, then it is surely puzzling why all Cubans don't exhibit the same symptoms.